their foraging ability is really something. I mean, they will travel miles to find food. They have a fantastic sense of smell, good hearing, reasonable eyesight, although that's their weakness, I guess, in the scheme of things. But they can smell food from miles away, particularly if it's something in very strong odor. So, you know, when you're walking in the woods and you see big trees shredded, you know, that's probably a bear that's been pulling out grubs and ants and anything else he can find in there. Grubs are a very high protein, high fat source of food for them, so they're certainly keen on eating those. Ants, they'll eat ants as long as they can get them down. The moths is something of interest to me. I was researching this. There are places where moths will come out of their cocoons in the ground, heavy rock piles, things like that. And scientists have studied this, and they've found that on a good day, a bear might eat as many as 40,000 moths. Now, I don't know about you, but eating 40,000 moths doesn't really sound that palatable to me. But each moth has about 1 calorie of energy in it. So if you're a hungry bear, 40,000 calories would be one heck of a feed for a day. I would think you'd need a big drink of water after eating that many moths. Normally people encounter bears either on the road, I'm sure you've seen them, or you know people that have seen them on the roads, but often it's hiking. If we're out working in the woods, we're fishing, we're camping, and picking berries especially. In the fall, I remember years ago we were picking blueberries near my home in western New York, and my mother got real quiet and said, "Boys, we're going to back up here, leave this blackberry patch." And we didn't know what she was talking about, and she said, "Just come with me, back up." And there was a black bear on the other side of the blueberry patch, and we decided to give him first priority on the berries. I love this photo. A friend of mine took this great close-up shot. So one of the things I thought I would do is talk a little bit about bear identification. This is something that's not so straightforward, even for professionals. This is almost certainly a young bear, and by that I mean it could be 2 years old, could be 3 or 4 years old, but for a creature that can live up to 40 years, that's still quite young. And there's some identification tricks there to look at. You can see the face is quite narrow, and the snout or the nose looks elongated. Notice how prominent the ears are on the head. Those are indicators of a bear that hasn't fully stepped up. Now this is a bigger, older bear. I'm guessing it's a sow from the shape of her head and her face. You'll notice much bigger body than that first one we were looking at. And the head has widened out a little bit relative to the snout. The ears are still fairly prominent. So, you know, she's a mature creature, but she's not a really old heavyweight. But this is, look at the size of this guy. This is quite likely a boar, the male, and he's certainly well along in years, and he's obviously gained a heck of a lot of weight. Now you look at a bear like this, you say, how big is he? The record bear in Maine is 699 pounds. I looked this up. That's a pretty impressive bear. Nowadays, down in the Carolinas, they're getting bears that are 850 to 900 pounds. They must be eating whales on the beach or something. I don't know how you get that big. But he's obviously big. And you see how wide his head is? Nose doesn't look so prominent there, and the ears look smaller relative to the face and the body there. Just a way of trying to gauge how mature the creature is. Now, we talk hibernation with bears. They don't actually hibernate like a woodchuck does, okay, where they go to sleep, their heart rate drops, their respiration rate drops, and they stay asleep all winter long. A bear actually is in a state called torpor, T-O-R-P-O-R, where their metabolism slows, but they can rouse during the winter. And if you're a scientist crawling in a den to grab a cub for weighing and tagging and measuring, you need to be aware that that female can come alert and be problematic. So they actually anesthetize these bears when they're crawling into dens in the winter to check their cubs. They're looking at caves, they're under overturned tree roots and things like that. As I mentioned before, the cubs are born in the middle of the winter. She's resting. She doesn't have any food source, but she's producing milk, so those cubs can nurse until it's time to come out, March, April, depending on the latitude and how heavy the winter is. They may be in there for a couple of months or more. I thought you'd enjoy seeing some bears. Earlier, that young bear I showed you was a cinnamon-colored bear. We don't get many of those in Maine. The bear biologist for the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife says that about 1 in 5,000 bears in Maine would be cinnamon colored. The rest are black, the traditional black bear. Same species, different genetics. You go out west in places like the Northern Rockies, color phase bears may be as much as 50% of the population. Again, all black bears, but different look to them. So this one on the left is a cinnamon, a light colored cinnamon, actually a beautiful pelt on that bear. The one on the left is called a Kermode bear or a ghost bear. There's only about 100 of those known, way up in the Northwest Territory, Alaskan border area, and they're sacred to the native tribes up there. There's another bear called a glacier bear. I couldn't find a picture of this online. I've searched everywhere. It's kind of a steel gray, blue colored bear. Again, all black bears, different genetics. When you see a couple of these guys going at it, you probably want to give them a wide berth. Black bears generally are solitude is their thing. They don't want to be around humans unless we're crazy enough to feed them from our car windows or something. But they can be pretty aggressive when they're after a sow during the breeding season.